You know, the good news is it was only 50 seconds. I was testing you. No, I forgot to unmute my mic. But that's okay. We're unmuted now on YouTube. So I trust again that your day was productive and that you had fun. And tonight we will continue with chapter 5, Law of Thought Transmission. He sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destructions. He transmitted the consciousness of health and awoke its vibratory correlate in the one toward whom it was directed. He mentally represented the subject to himself in a state of health and imagined he heard the subject confirm it. For no word of God shall be void of power. Therefore, hold fast the pattern of healthful words which thou hast heard. To pray successfully, you must have clearly defined objectives. You must know what you want before you can ask for it. What that would make sense, wouldn't it? You must know what you want before you can ask for it. You must know what you want before you can feel that you have it. And prayer is the feeling of the fulfilled desire. Hmm. It does not matter what it is you seek in prayer or where it is or whom it concerns. You have nothing to do but convince yourself of the truth of that which you desire to see manifested. Hey, Dusty, when you emerge from prayer, you no longer seek, for you have. If you have prayed correctly, that is. Subconsciously assume the reality of the state sought. And by the law of reversibility, your subconscious must objectify that which it affirms. Risky. Listen to it again. Subconsciously assume the reality of the state sought. And by the law of reversibility, your subconscious must objectify that which it affirms. You must have a conductor to transmit a force. You must employ a wire, a jet of water, a current of air, a ray of light, or any intermediary whatsoever. The principle of the photophone or the transmission of the voice by light will help you to understand thought transmission or the sending of a word to heal another. There's a strong analogy between a spoken voice and a mental voice. To think is to speak low. To speak is to think aloud. The principle of the photophone is this. A ray of light is reflected by a mirror and projected to a receiver at a distant point. Back of the mirror is a mouthpiece. By speaking into the mouthpiece, you cause the mirror to vibrate. A vibrating mirror modifies the light reflected on it. The modified light has your speech to carry, not as speech, but as represented in its mechanical correlate. It reaches the distant station and impinges on a disc within the receiver. It causes the disc to vibrate according to the modification it undergoes, and it reproduces your voice. I am the light of the world. I am the knowledge that I exist is a light. The knowledge that I exist, I am, is a light by means of which what passes in my mind is rendered visible. It is the light by means of which what passes in my mind is rendered visible. Memory, or my ability to mentally see what is objectively present, proves that my mind is a mirror, so sensitive a mirror that it can reflect a thought. The perception of an image in memory. Listen to this. The perception of an image in memory in no way differs as a visual act from the perception of my image in a mirror. In other words, the memory and the visual act from the perception of my image, they're the same. The same principle of seeing is involved in both. Your consciousness is the light reflected on the mirror of your mind and projected in space to the one of whom you think. By mentally speaking to the subjective image in your mind, you cause the mirror of your mind to vibrate. Your vibrating mind modifies the light of consciousness reflected on it. The modified light of consciousness reaches the one to whom it is directed and impinges on the mirror of his mind. It causes his mind to vibrate according to the modification it undergoes. Thus, it reproduces in him what was mentally affirmed by you. Your beliefs, your fixed attitudes of mind constantly modify your consciousness as it is reflected on the mirror of your mind. Your consciousness, modified by your beliefs, objectifies itself in the conditions of your world. To change your world, you must first change your conception of it. To change a man, you must change your conception of him. Pardon me. You must first believe him to be the man you want him to be and mentally talk to him as though he were. All men are sufficiently sensitive to reproduce your beliefs of them. Therefore, if your word is not reproduced visibly in him toward whom it is sent, the cause is to be found in you, not in the subject. As soon as you believe in the truth of the state affirmed, results follow. Everyone can be transformed. Every thought can be transmitted. Every thought can be visibly embodied. Subjective words or subconscious assumptions awaken what they affirm. They are living and acting and shall not return unto me void, but shall accomplish that which I please, and shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. They are endowed, pardon me, they are endowed with the intelligence pertaining to their mission and will persist until the object of their existence is realized. They persist until they awaken the vibratory correlates of themselves within the one toward whom they are directed. But the moment the object of their creation is accomplished, they cease to be. The word spoken subjectively in quiet confidence will always awaken a corresponding state in the one in whom it was spoken. But the moment its task is accomplished, it ceases to be, permitting the one in whom the state is realized to remain in the consciousness of the state affirmed or to return to his former state. Whatever state has your attention holds your life. Whatever state has your attention holds your life. But what is a state? Mental attitude. There. Whatever state has your attention holds your life. Therefore, to become attentive to a former state is to return to that condition. But remember not the former things, neither consider things of old. Nothing can be added to man. Nothing can be added to man. For the whole of creation is already perfected in him. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. Heaven is your subconsciousness. Not even a sunburn is given from without. The rays without only awaken corresponding rays within. Were the burning rays not contained within man, all the concentrated rays in the universe could not burn him. Were the tones of health not contained within the consciousness of the one whom they are affirmed, they could not be vibrated by the word which is sent. You see, you do not really give to another. You resurrect that which is asleep within him. The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. Death is merely a sleeping, a forgetting. Age and decay are the sleep, not death, of youth and health. Age and decay are the sleep, not death, of youth and health. Recognition of a state vibrates or awakens it. Distance, as it is cognized by your objective senses, does not exist for the subjective mind. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me. Time and space are conditions of thought. Pardon me. Yes, it is sleepy time. That's what my body says every night at this time. Time and space are conditions of thought. The imagination can transcend them and move in a psychological time and space. Although physically separated from a place by thousands of miles, you can mentally live in the distant place as though it were here. Your imagination can easily transform winter into summer, New York into Florida, and so on. Whether the object of your desire be near or far, results will be the same. Subjectively, the object of your desire is never far off. Its intense nearness makes it remote from observation of the senses. It dwells in consciousness, and consciousness is closer than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. Consciousness is the one and only reality. All phenomena are formed of the same substance, vibrating at different rates. Out of consciousness, I as man came, and to consciousness, I as man return. In consciousness, all states exist subjectively and are awakened to their objective existence by belief. The only thing that prevents us from making a successful subjective impression on one at a great distance or transforming there into here is our habit of regarding space as an obstacle. The only thing that prevents us from making a successful subjective impression on one at a great distance or transforming there into here is our habit of regarding space as an obstacle. Be we urban planet. That's where I got it. Urban planet. A friend 1,000 miles away is rooted in your consciousness through your fixed ideas of him. To think of him and represent him to yourself inwardly in the state you desire him to be, confident that this subjective image is as true as it were already objectified, awakens in him a corresponding state which he must objectify. The results will be as obvious as the cause was hidden. The subject will express the awakened state within him and remain unaware of the true cause of his action. Your illusion of free will is but ignorance of the cause which makes you act. Tee. Your illusion of free will is but ignorance of the causes which make you act. Prayers depend upon your attitude of mind for their success and not upon the attitude of the subject. Prayers depend upon your attitude of mind for their success and not upon the attitude of the subject. The subject has no power to resist or control the subjective ideas of him unless the state affirmed by you to be true of him is a state he is incapable of wishing as true of another. In that case, it returns to you. Return to sender. It returns to you, the sender, and will realize itself in you. Provided the idea is acceptable, success depends entirely on the operator, not upon the subject who, like compass needles on their pivots, are quite indifferent as to what direction you choose to give them. If your fixed idea is not subjectively accepted by the one toward whom it is directed, it rebounds to you from whom it came. Who is he that will harm you, if ye be followers of that which is good? I have been young, and now I am old. Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. There shall no evil happen to the just. Nothing befalls us that is not of the nature of ourselves. Why? Because of the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. So there's no one punishing you. See, we punish ourselves, but don't look at it like that. Don't look at it as if you're punishing yourself. Look at it as, oh, shoot, I can only do what I can do because this is who I say I am. That's how you do it. A person who directs a malicious thought to another will be injured by its rebound if he fails to get subconscious acceptance of the other. As ye sow, so shall ye reap. Furthermore, what can you wish and believe of another? What you can wish and believe of another can be wished and believed of you. And you have no power to reject it if the one who desires it for you accepts it as true of you. The only power to reject a subjective word is to be incapable of wishing a similar state of another. To give presupposes the ability to receive. Oh, do you hear that? To give presupposes the ability to receive. So, in order to give something, you open yourself to receive. But that is because of the principle of correspondence, as within, so without. You can only give as such you are. Thereby, you receive such as you are. The possibility to impress an idea upon another mind presupposes the ability of that mind to receive that impression. Fools exploit the world, the wise transfigure it. It is the highest wisdom to know that in the living universe there is no destiny other than that created out of imagination of man. There is no influence outside of the mind of man. There is no influence outside of the mind of man. Whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Never accept as true of others what you would not want to be true of you. To awaken a state within another, it must first be awake within you. The principle of correspondence, as within, so without. It must it must always happen within you first before it can happen on the exterior to anybody else. The state you would transmit to another can only be transmitted if it is believed by you. Therefore, to give is to receive. You cannot give what you do not have, and you have only what you believe. So, to believe a state as true of another not only awakens that state within the other, but it makes it alive within you. You are what you believe. Give, and ye shall receive, full measure, pressed down and running over. Giving is simply believing for what you truly believe of others, you will awaken within them. Giving is simply believing for what you truly believe of others, you will awaken within them. The vibratory state transmitted by your belief persists until it awakens its corresponding vibrations in him of whom it is believed. But before it can be transmitted, it must first be awake within the transmitter. Whatever is awake within your consciousness, you are. Whether the belief pertains to self or another does not matter. For the believer is defined by the sum total of his beliefs or subconscious assumptions. As a man thinketh in his heart, in the deep subconscious of himself, so is he. Disregard appearances and subjectively affirm as true that which you wish to be true. This awakens in you the tone of the state affirmed, which in turn realizes itself in you and in the one of whom it is affirmed. Give and ye shall receive. Beliefs invariably awaken what they affirm. The world is a mirror wherein everyone sees himself reflected. The objective world reflects the beliefs of the subjective mind. The objective world, meaning the one you can see, the world that you can see reflects the belief of the subjective mind, what you cannot see. Some people are self impressed by visual images. So if you find it very easy to visualize, then that's you. Others by mental sounds, that's me, I hear. And still others by mental actions. The form of mental activity which allows the whole power of your attention to be focused in one chosen direction is the one to cultivate until you can bring all to play on your objective at the same time. Should you have difficulty in understanding the terms visual images, mental sounds, and mental actions, here is an illustration that should make their meanings clear. A, or 1. Images, he sees a piece of music. So, person A imagines he sees a piece of music, knowing nothing at all about musical notations. The impression in his mind is purely visual image. Now, person B imagines he sees the same piece, but he can read music and can imagine how it would sound when played on the piano. That imagination is mental sound. Now, person C also reads music and is a pianist. As he reads, he imagines himself playing the piece, and the imaginary action is mental action. The visual images, mental sounds, and mental actions are creations of your imagination, and though they appear to come from without, they actually come from within yourself. They move as if moved by another, but are really launched by your own spirit from the magical storehouse of imagination. They are projected into space by the same vibratory law that governs the sending of a voice or picture. Speech and images are projected not as speech or images, but as vibratory correlates. Subjective mind vibrates according to the modifications it undergoes by the thought and feeling of the operator. The visible state created is the effect of the subjective vibrations. A feeling is always accompanied by a corresponding vibration. That is, a change in expression or sensation in the operator. There is no thought or feeling without expression. No matter how emotionless you appear to be, if you reflect with any degree of intensity, there is always an execution of slight muscular movements. The eye, though shut, follows the movements of the imaginary objects, and the pupil is dilated or contracted according to the brightness or the remoteness of those objects. Respiration is accelerated or slowed according to the course of your thoughts. The muscles contract correspondingly to your mental movements. This change of vibration persists until it awakens a corresponding vibration in the subject, which vibration then expresses itself in a physical fact. And the word was made flesh. Energy, as you see in the case of radio, is transmitted and received in a field, a place where changes in space occur. The field and energy are one and inseparable. The field or subject becomes the embodiment of the word or energy received. The thinker and the thought, the operator and the subject, the energy and the field are one. Hmm. Were you still enough to hear the sound of your beliefs, you would know what is meant by the music of the spheres. The mental sound you hear in prayer as coming from without is really produced by yourself. Self observation will reveal this fact. As the music of the spheres is defined as the harmony heard by the gods alone and is supposed to be produced by the movements of the celestial spheres, so too is the harmony you subjectively hear for others, heard by you alone, is produced by the movements of your thoughts and feelings. That last paragraph is so poignant. Sorry, I was reading ahead. It says, as the music of the spheres is defined as the harmony heard by the gods alone, and is supposed to be produced by the movements of the celestial spheres, so too is the harmony you subjectively hear for others, heard by you alone, is produced by the movements of your thoughts and feelings in the same true kingdom of heaven within you. And we'll end there tonight because that chapter. So he tells you some of us are really good at visualization, some of us can hear, and some of us, well, we paint, we draw, still visual, right? But he's saying to you, knowing this is person A, because here's the example he gave. Person A imagines he sees a piece of music and knowing nothing at all about musical notations. That is person A. The impression in his mind is purely visual image. Now, person B, he sees the same piece, but he can read music and can imagine how it would sound when played on the piano. That imagination is mental sound. Here's the other one. Person C also reads music and is a pianist. As he reads, he imagines himself playing the piece. The imaginary action is mental action. So the first guy visualizes really well and sees. The second one hears really well. The third one, well, not only can he imagine, but he can hear and he can act. He imagines what he hears. He imagines. He imagines. The visual images, mental sounds, and mental actions are creations of your imagination. And though they appear to come from without, they actually come from within yourself. They move as if moved by another, but are really launched by your own spirit from the magical storehouse of imagination. They are projected into space by the same vibratory law that governs the sending of a voice or picture. Speech and images are projected not as speech or images, but as vibratory correlates. Subjective mind vibrates according to the modifications it undergoes by the thought and feelings of the operator. I trust that as we go into the silence, as we go into the silence, as we go into that silent space, see what you can recall. Listen to this one. The only thing that prevents us from making a successful subjective impression on one at a great distance or transforming there into here is our habit of regarding space as an obstacle. You see, finally, I'll close with this paragraph. You do not really give to another, you resurrect that which is asleep within him. So, tonight, my beautiful friends, as we go into the silence, as we go there, what will you practice as you go into the silence? There. What will you practice? What will you practice? To change a man or woman or child, you must change your conception of him. You must first believe him to be the man you want him to be and mentally talk to him as though he were. Let us take 5 minutes and go into the silence. Whatever that thing is that you are wanting, whatever that thing is that you're wanting tonight, test yourselves. Test yourselves. Let us go into the silence. And there concludes our 5 minutes of silence. Now remember, you must know what it is that you want. Because once you know what it is that you want, what will you do? When you know what you want, you believe it. And you believe it, you feel the thrill of it. Indeed, you do. Indeed. All that's left up to you and I is to practice. So the next time you're tempted to say, I don't know, stop and ponder about what it is that you do know. And sometimes we may be afraid to say what we want because we think we'll be judged for it. But that's why when you're the one who knows what you want, you don't tell anybody, just mind your business and tell you. Why? Because that which you pray about in secret, your Father shall reward you openly. Meaning, as within, so without. Whatever is contained within. So spend some time to cultivate the beauty that is within you. Cultivate it. Do you know what it means to cultivate? Listen, when I was a little girl, we had agricultural science in primary school. Now, we grew up on the British school system. So, primary school, I started school when I was 4 and a half. And primary school is about that age, 5, 4, 5. And so we learned how to garden. We had what we call a kitchen garden. We planted cabbage, we planted lettuce, we planted carrots and peas and all those things we sold to the people in the community to make money for our school, but it was also part of what we learned. And so we learned how to cultivate, how to grow, how to plant a seed, how to nurture it, and then how to reap the fruits of your labor. That is what it means to cultivate. So, to cultivate within you, what do you want? That's the seed. And then what you tell yourself, whatsoever you ask for in prayer, if you believe. To believe is to nurture the seed that you've planted. Dare I say this is tomorrow's lesson, right? Cultivate within you, but you got to know what you want. So when you're tempted to say, I don't know, when you're tempted to say that, pause, pause, and just say, what do I want? And just be honest with yourself without judgment. You do not, listen, you do not have to justify or become deserved of anything. You don't have to do that. If you want it, it is done. Hands down. Done. It is finished. It's come to an end. It is done. Your job is just to know what you want. And when you know what you want, you see that law, the law of cause and effect. Neville calls it the law of reversibility. And it's funny because on today's lunchtime inspiration, I had 10 minutes left and I went live on my lunch break. And I was talking to the Relaxo Mist repairman. And he was talking about cause and effect. When the temperature is cooler in the outside space than it is on the inside of the shower, you will get fog, mist. But once that exterior temperature matches what's in the shower, the fog goes away. And people think that their machine is broken when in actuality, they just don't understand cause and effect. Warm inside the shower, cool on the outside, will bring about the fog. But once outside now becomes the same warmth as the shower, you have to have the mixing of the warm and the cool. Why did I tell you that? Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause, which means you can recreate steam. You can recreate steam. Water and heat. Water, heat, cool air. So if all you had was cool air and you bring the water and the heat, you'll get fog. So you can use the cool and the heat to create fog, but you can also use the reverse. So that's why Neville says to you, if you can catch the feeling of the thing that you say you want to experience, the thing you want to experience must appear. It has to appear because the law cannot be broken. But you've got to know what you want. And you can't say, ooh, ooh, I want that. And then maybe I can or maybe I can't. I don't know. Can't say that. You have to believe wholeheartedly. Believe wholeheartedly for what you say you are. And with that, my beautiful friends, countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you tonight. I'll see you in the morning if you want to rise with us. 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Much love to each and every one of you. Mwah. Now let me go tuck my rooster in. I can tuck us both in because we tired. Yes. Much love.